Hello, Gemini, and welcome to your February 2026 tarot card reading. So, we're going to go ahead and get started here with the general message. So, what is it that Gemini needs to know for February 2026? Let's see what comes through here. Okay. There seems to be something going on in your life that is for the sake of something better. Okay, and I look at this Sun card right here. I feel like everything is pointing to that. So there are certain ambitions and dreams and places that you want to be. It's really driving a lot of the decisions that you make through February. Now, you may or may not actualize this month, although I think that you feel fairly certain that you're on the right track. But it feels like February is a month where you have to kind of get everything out of the way in order for this to be attained. Now, I look at the Eight of Cups. It's not the easiest card all the time, but it does sometimes just feel like a quiet departure, right? You're just quietly separating yourself from a way of life, from a group of people, from a job, from whatever. It's not it's not a very, like I say, it's not a loud or an obvious from the outside type of card, but I do think there is something deep and profound that happens with the Eight of Cups. The number 8 being associated with the Strength card in the major arcana tells me that this will always require a great deal of will. And it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable because you seem to be headed into kind of a moonlit path, so it's not the brightest place, which tells me that there's a little bit of a leap of faith going on here. And you know that in order for you to get here, you can't like get here and then drop everything off, right? You have to drop everything off so that you can get here, if that makes sense. So this is something that I think you know in your heart of hearts that you know you have to do. And with the Seven of Wands, there might be some pushback and there might be some things that continually, the word that's coming to my mind, and I don't quite know why, is circulate. Like things are circulating. So you might think that you're drifting on, but then things start to resurface again. And you're like, wait a second, I thought I already got rid of that. One thing that I would not do right now is place a lot of meaning on things that are recirculating, okay, or resurfacing, if you will. Maybe that's a better word for it. Specifically because even though it's Aquarius season, all right, we've got the Sun, Mars. We start the month off with like 5 planets in there. We've got Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, and of course Pluto in there. But very early on in the month, Mercury and Venus both are going to be moving on into Pisces. Now, Mercury, specifically your ruling planet, is in detriment here. So this is really not the best place for him to be. And he's going to be moving through his pre-shadow phase through most of February. He'll officially retrograde on the 26th, but I always think the pre-shadow is where all the chaos comes from. So if things recirculate, I would attribute it to a Mercury retrograde in detriment and not assign a lot of meaning to things like that. You're going to have to push back and you're going to have to kind of double down or recommit to the things that you're letting go right now. Now, there's just been, just generally speaking, a lot of shedding throughout the year of 2025. And that's specifically because of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, right? Neptune dissolves a lot of things. And in this case, he is dissolving structure and things that have stood the test of time. Or things that have been in place for a very long time is really what I mean to say there. So it's not always the easiest, because you look at certain things and you're like, well, they've been in my life for so long, or I've been doing this for so many years, or it's, but Neptune is saying, okay, well, great. I don't care. I don't care how long it's been going on. I don't care how long it's been in place. I don't care, because it's time for that to go away. It's time for us to lose those things and rebuild and restart. And of course, Aquarius season is very much about tearing down one structure to rebuild a bigger, better, more efficient one. So it's a little bit of a clunky time, I would say, February. And it may not always feel super gung ho, like where we're all like amped up, ready to go. Now, if you feel that, great, then please lean into it. But I think collectively, the majority people are just simply sauntering through February, trying to position themselves as best they can for the goals that they're hoping to achieve in the next year or so. And Gemini, I do think that, this is the stuff that really has to get out of the way. This is stuff that has to happen. It's stuff that has to resurface so that you can really see that path more clearly. So, and even with the Seven of Coins, I always say the Seven of Coins is a very black and white energy. It's like you can just write it down on paper. It's numbers on a piece of paper. It either is this way or it is that way. There's no gray area here. And sometimes we just need to kind of take a step back and analyze and look and say, okay, well, what is the current state of my situation? Where can I improve? It's just a highly analytical card. There's no thought one way or the other in terms of whether it's good or bad or anything that it says about you as a person. It's just, this is the facts, this is the state of things. And you're going to need that, analytical. This is very Aquarian, by the way, the very Mars and Sun in Aquarius. You're going to need that Aquarius detachment, factual, logistical approach to things, because there's enough emotion going on here with a lot of the release and a lot of the letting go and a lot of the preparation that you're going through. So you don't really need to bring that into thoughts and strategy for the future. Let the emotions just be what they need to be for the release. And they'll morph and they'll change and they'll ebb and flow, and that's fine. That's, of course, very Piscean. But this part of you, the part that's focused on the future, the part that needs to figure out what step is next, just needs to be really matter of fact as possible, so that the next step actually feels more attainable. There's no need to overwhelm yourself with all the things that need to do to climb all the way to the top of the mountain. It's more just, well, how can I get from 7 coins to 8 coins, right? How can I get from here to there? And then know that that path will guide you. Let's see what else, Gemini. What else do you need to know? High Priestess. I am sensing that February is kind of a turnaround time for you, especially if the past few months. Now, I was saying this back in October. I was really saying that October, November, December, January, November, December, January, February, these 4 months here, November through February, really were like hibernation time. And the reason why I said that was specifically because Neptune and Saturn and also Uranus had moved back into their old signs, Pisces and Taurus. And it just was like kind of a quiet, kind of pull back type of time. And I just didn't know. I'm not saying there wasn't going to be any progress or there wasn't any progress. Yeah, maybe there was progress, but it wasn't in such a forceful push kind of way. And February is kind of like the last month of that. Now, Saturn and Neptune are technically still in conjunction for most of the month. Neptune is already in Aries as of February 1st. He moved into Aries on the 26th. And on the 13th of February, Saturn will also move into Aries. But they're still like so close to one another that conjunction still is in place until end of February, beginning of March. And that's when we're really going to start to feel that separation finally happening. So February as a whole, it's still going to feel somewhat murky, I would say. And I think the sun, like again, your goal, your ambition, that's kind of the shining beacon that you really need to keep your eye on. You need to stay focused and aligned toward that, because there is a lot of other stuff going on and it could distract you. I think you also could experience a great deal of progress if you just keep your eye on the goal. And the beautiful thing about having a Mars in Aquarius is that ability to detach. It is that ability to, especially being in the ninth house, it's a deeply expansive, right? And I think right now your thoughts and your energy are geared toward making your life bigger and better. Now, the high priestess comes through and she really speaks to like things surfacing, whether from an internal or a subconscious way. Maybe there's something that's been kind of kept secret or kept hidden for a while, but now she's sort of releasing that information. It's probably that this type of stuff that you are now letting go of is something that's been in the works for a really long time now. And not only has it been in the works, but it's been something that has been in your heart and that you've been, maybe right now you're kind of overdue. And it's like, okay, I think this high priestess is saying that there's a moment of confirmation that this was the right choice, that this was something you've wanted all along or you've needed all along. I think that's just going to be a quiet, private moment with yourself. I don't think that's going to be any type of discussion that you have with anyone. It's just sort of the way that you feel about all these changes that you're going through. You feel at peace. You feel like it is right, even though you may not really see the whole path, right? Because at the very end of this, we get the page, which tells me that you're still very much in a step by step type of process, that there are no giant leaps to be taken right now in terms of moving forward. I think the bigger leaps are more with the release stuff. But in terms of moving forward, it's really just one step, one day at a time, and you're not trying to do 20 things all at once. You're not trying to spread yourself too thin. You are taking your time, you're being kind with yourself, but you do still have a sense of adventure and optimism and excitement about what could be. Um, and so I lost my train of thought. I forgot why I skipped to the page of wands. But anyway, so that page of wands is sort of the indicator of how February is going to go. Still just very methodical. It's not super slow, but not super fast either. It's just kind of happening, and you're just taking it day by day. Now, Three of Coins suggests some type of collaboration, working with people, planning, brainstorming, strategizing, putting together blueprints, designing something. And it's all geared by all these four cards. I would say these last four cards are really aligned with the sun energy. It's like, okay, I can finally start to construct the image that I've had in your mind, right? Because this is all about your inner child, your playfulness, your creativity, your self-expression. And I'm wondering if there wasn't something that was sort of blocking a lot of that or really preventing you from going full on with that. Now that you are ready to let go, something sort of breaks loose and comes free and starts to become more accessible to you. So there's kind of a little bit of excitement of like, oh, I can finally do this thing. I can finally focus. I can finally take steps. I can finally plan. I can finally talk to people about it, and so you start to gain a little momentum there with just the planning. Again, I don't know that there's going to be tons and tons of implementation right now, and that's fine. I think there's going to be a little, With the page, there's going to be a little implementation, but maybe not tons, but I think a little can go a long way. And yet the Three of Coins is also confirming, but so why I feel like the High Priestess really confirms the release and the emotional stuff here. This to me feels like it confirms the trajectory of the sun, right? The trajectory of that goal. And you start to break it down and realize how attainable it is, and not only how attainable it is, but how capable you are of attaining that. And I think that illumination of being capable is the Four of Wands. That's the grounding. That's the sense that, okay, I am secure in this. Now, there does seem to be people here, so family, friends, colleagues, people who are around you. To me, all three of these cards are warm and inviting and supportive. So hopefully you don't have any fight with people around you about this. I think when you start talking about the sun and you start talking about what you want to do, they look at you and you say, wow, Gemini, that's so great. I think you definitely should. I think you'd be great at that. Again, more confirmation that this is right, that everything is right, that letting go of this is right, that moving toward this is also right, and that potentially there's something quite lucrative in this for you, that it's not just an idea that excites you, but there's actually some reward that can be had, hopefully money wise, hopefully lifestyle wise, hopefully in terms of your sense of abundance and just sort of having more. Again, now it's not really about having more. I think this is just a natural effect of what happens when you align so beautifully with something that's calling you. But that's always nice. Nice to know that, okay, if I do follow this path and I do take it seriously and I do implement the plans, because this might just be planning, but again, we're not getting tons about implementation. Now, when Saturn starts to separate off of Neptune in March, we'll see. Keeping in mind that we will still have a Mercury retrograde in March, we're going to have Mars moving into Pisces as well. I don't know. It's a little tricky to have Pisces on that 10th house there. So on one hand, it's Pisces, and it's meandering, and it's dreamy, and it's beautiful. But then 10th house is also a lot of hard work. But Pisces sometimes tries to evade or escape. So it's going to be an interesting contradiction, I think, that comes through. There's going to be both themes. There's going to be Piscean themes and 10th house themes sort of colliding next month in March. So it'll be kind of an interesting reading, I would suspect. But for now, again, it's not so much implementation. We may just have to wait until Aries season, which is late March, early April, which is normal anyway, because it's like the beginning of the astrological new year. So this is when things really start to blossom and come to life. So if you still feel like things are just kind of dying off and this is just kind of a dream or a concept with barely any implementation right now, that's okay. I think that implementation will just get stronger and stronger through March, and then fully April, and definitely on in through May. Okay, so it's maybe just a bit longer time frame than you would like, but that's okay. We don't need to have that instant gratification all the time. So let's go ahead and take a look here at the comprehensive cards. So for those who are new, we are going to talk about these comprehensive cards in the comprehensive reading. And the link for that will be found in the description box and the comment thread down below. If you want to join, you are more than welcome. So let's go ahead and take a look here at the Eight of Cups. What do you need to know here, Gemini? Oh, the Gemini card, the Lovers. All about choices. Hanged Man. I'm not surprised by the Hanged Man. Knight of Swords. King of Coins, Five of Swords, and Judgment. Justice, Knight of Coins, and Four of Wands. For the Sun, we have Two of Swords, Wheel of Fortune, and the Star. Beautiful set of cards there for the Sun. I'm not surprised. Five of Cups, Three of Coins, and the Empress. Devil. Five of Coins and Eight of Wands. Some heavy cards there. The Magician, the Page, and the Ace. Three of Wands, High Priestess again, and Three of Cups. I had a feeling this was going to come out. This has come out quite a bit this month, the Three of Cups. Temperance, Nine of Swords. What was this card? Moon on the Ten of Coins. Another Page, a King, and a Knight. Lots of court cards coming through there. All right, Gemini, this is where we're going to pick up in the comprehensive. So if you want to join, you are more than welcome. Thank you all so much. I hope you have an amazing February, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.